Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I am creating a few cards, kind of vintage style cards, using the January box of the month from Not Too Shabby. And unfortunately, this box has sold out, and all of the individual items have also sold out, which is why it's always a great idea to subscribe. That way you don't miss out on a box. But even if you don't have the specific items that I'm using, you can always just grab what you have in your stash and use those to create similar cards. And what I've done for these cards is I'm making three, and so I have grabbed three of the bird cages that were in this stamp set. And I went ahead and I prepped my card with an anti-static bag and then inked up that stamp with some Versamark. And then I just sprinkled some gold embossing powder over the top. And then I fussy cut out those images. And I'm going to grab a piece of paper. This is really old. It's something that I got from a yard sale and was already kind of torn up and not in great shape. And so I put it in my stash of items, and it's kind of fun to pull it out and create whatever with them. In this case, some cards. And so I've gone ahead and I've cut that paper down, and I'm going to go ahead and get started creating the backgrounds for my cards. And for the first one, I am using a 4¼ by 5½ piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to take a finger dauber and some distress ink in Vintage Photo and just go around at the edges of that card. And then I'm going to spritz that a little bit with some water and then wait about 10 seconds and then mop that water up with a paper towel to get that splotchy look. And then I'm going to take the piece of music paper, and this is a Tim Holtz distress tool. You can use a pair of scissors or really anything that kind of has a little bit of a rough edge to distress the edges. And the paper is really thin, so it tears very easily. So I've gone ahead and kind of just went with it. And then I'm going to take my dauber again and go over that paper with that ink. And I just went ahead and I just crumpled it up in my hand and then went back over with the dauber again to catch all of those areas with the ink. And then I went ahead and set that first background aside, and I'm going to start on my second background. I am using some Distress Stain in Picked Raspberry, and I'm doing a little bit of ink smushing. So I have a piece of plastic down, and I have spritzed that with the Picked Raspberry, and then I'm just turning my cardstock over into that color. And then I'm going to go ahead and use some antique linen and basically do the same until I have a pattern that I like. And then I didn't want to cover up all of that background that I just created, so I cut down this next piece of pattern paper to quite a small size to go over that panel. And I distressed the edges of this piece as well. And then I spritzed the plastic with some antique linen and dropped that paper in that, and it gives it a really kind of more yellowed look than originally. And so I went ahead and set that one aside to dry. And then for my last background, I actually used a scallop die from my stash to create that heart, and I spritzed that with some picked raspberry as well. And then I'm going to take my heat gun and create the brown or aged look just by applying heat. So I'm holding it really closely. Just use caution when doing this. I don't know if this would be hot enough to actually catch anything on fire, but I did hold it very close to the paper to get that kind of aged look. And then I went ahead and I grabbed that second background and did the same. And then I stamped out my images and ran them through my scan and cut, and kind of off screen went ahead and figured out my layouts and how I wanted all of my little images to go. And so I have a set of images and items for each background. And then I'm going to go ahead and start putting the cards together. I don't show this entire thing partly because I am half off of the screen for most of this, and I do apologize for that. But I did go ahead and pop up all of the bird cages with a little bit of foam behind them. And then I'm just going to arrange the elements on the card how I think it looks good, I guess. And I always try and just make sure aesthetically that it's pleasing to the eye, at least what I think looks nice. And so I try and balance out um, the images around the bird cage so that it looks nice but not too crowded. And for this last one, that love die is a die that I had in my stash. And then again, all of the cards have basically the same elements, just arranged differently and kind of different design on the bird cages. And then to finish the cards off, I went ahead and used a little bit of splatter. And that's going to finish off the cards for today. If you are interested in signing up for a subscription for the Not Too Shabby Shop box of the month, I will go ahead and leave a link for that below. And if you're not interested in a subscription, but you are interested in purchasing the boxes, the ones that you like, then go ahead and try and purchase that as close to the first as possible. This kit sent, or this box sold out very quickly, and so unfortunately it is no longer available. But you do have a chance to purchase the next one. And that is it for me. I hope you liked this video. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.